just about ready for the opening tip. And we are underway from Columbia. Both these teams have a similar color scheme, so I'll let you know South Carolina is in black today, Rider is in white.
What's cool about it is both teams want to play fast. Obviously, Rider wants to shoot the ball earlier in the shot clock. South Carolina's going to let their offense work through their inside play, but it should be great, great basketball. It's going to come down to who wants to control that paint, like we just saw there with Wildens Levesque.
Levesque with an offensive rebound. And the foul is going to be called on number 10, Ajiri Ogamuno. That's his first, the senior forward from Nigeria.
Ogamuno Johnson's got some great stuff to his game where he is very athletic, versatile, capable of deflecting and altering shots. Look for a big game from him today.
Reese pulls up and hits.
And with James Reese's ability to shoot the three, people are going to close out a little bit differently on him, which gives him that straight line drive to get into that sweet spot in the mid-range area.
Muno Johnson hands off to Murray.
Great stunt from James Reese.
Vaughn on the drive, a floater, that's good.
That's what Vaughn does. Very capable three-level scorer as well. Can shoot the ball, can get downhill. Looking to get downhill more, those paint touches, so he can create for himself and his teammates.
Here's Reese. Tend to shoot for Reese on the drive. And he kicks it out, but throws it into the seats. So turnover for South Carolina. As you take a look at their starting five, we will see Keyshawn Bryant at some point today making his season debut, but they stick to the same starting five that they had last game against Wofford.
Well, the thing is that lineup did so well against Wofford. You don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so obviously Keyshawn Jackson brings so much to this team, but he has to be able to be implemented into it. And you'd heard Coach Frank Martin talk about that.
Powell for three. Alan Powell, the junior guard from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
It's a great shot from Powell, and that's the thing. Rider has to figure out how they want to go against South Carolina, whether using size or using their guard's ability 1 through 4 to attack South Carolina.
Couisnard trying to answer, he cannot. Offensive rebound from Wilson. Couisnard, spin move. It won't go.
And here's the thing, South Carolina's getting a lot of good shots at the basket, and then they're getting second chance points as well. So usually the numbers work out for you as time progresses.
Ogamuno Johnson won't get the roll, so the rebound to A.J. Wilson. Couisnard ran out of room, tried to get it to Levesque. Murray closes quickly on Stevenson. Levesque from in close, can't hit. And the rebound to Ogamuno Johnson.
And Dave, that's exactly what South Carolina wanted to do. They wanted to get the ball in the paint and try to create there.
Well, getting it in the paint was Murray. 7-2 lead for Rider.
And that's what we talked about with Murray. I mean, he's so good in the open floor. Once he gets there, he's like a one-man fast break.
Stevenson off the mark. The rebound to Ogamuno Johnson. Mervyn James. And a foul is going to be called. It's going to be on Jermaine Couisnard, his first. Josh Gray is going to check in for South Carolina. So he's the first off the bench for the Gamecocks.
Well, yeah, and you want to continue to use your size to your advantage if you're South Carolina. Wildens Levesque got himself a really good shot down in the paint. Just didn't capitalize on it. So Frank Martin's going to go with what works. Try that out a little bit.
Powell stepped inside the arc to hit that two. Stevenson is short, and the rebound for Murray. He'll look to push. Up ahead, it's Vaughn. And Ryder has opened up an 11-2 lead.
An 11-2 lead, that's what they do quickly. Like, they get out in that open floor and they create it off of your mistakes that you make offensively.
Reese had the first basket. Now the Bronx are on an 11-0 run. And a turnover here. It's Murray. Vaughn for three. In and out. Fight for the ball for the Bronx. Bryant waiting his turn. Looking to make his season debut. That's Jacoby Wright.
Something Frank Martin wanted him to do more is hunt for his shots when the opportunities present themselves. And a lot of the times when you don't hunt for your shots, the scouting report will say he's not going to be that aggressive going downhill offensively. You can play with space. Now you can guard more than just one.
James runs into traffic. Vaughn's fighting. He's blocked from behind by Wilson. And again, finally the whistle, and a foul's going to be called. Some tough play inside from Demencio Vaughn, the grad forward from New York City.
Yeah, Vaughn, you know, heavy motor, continues to work, can play multiple positions, and that's what makes him so special. He can play guard, he can play inside if he's got a mouse in the house. He can shoot the ball, put the ball in the deck, get downhill, and because he's mean, tough, and gritty, you know, that works in his favor as well.
Yeah. Coach Baggett is happy to have him back. Misses the first. He's an 80% free throw shooter. He's a guy who wanted to test the waters at Ole Miss last season, didn't work out, made his way back to Ryder.
And sometimes you got to test the waters and see if the grass is greener. The good thing was, you know, he saw that it wasn't and came back to a place where he was able to be successful and fit.
Jacoby Wright. Reese pulls up. Can't hit, so the rebound to Vaughn. And a turnover. Reese with the steal. That foul will be called on Demencio Vaughn, his first.
And sometimes when you play fast, because you're trying to get the ball up the floor as quickly as possible and use your speed to your advantage against South Carolina, you become careless with the ball. And you saw right there, James Reese was able to get himself a steal, get out in the open floor, and draw a foul himself.
And that pass just bounced off of Murray. Devin Carter on the drive. Hits the bottom of the rim. And we're going to go the other way.
Devin Carter is an explosive player, also a shot maker, a creator. And sometimes when you go up and you do all those double pumps and double clutches, it takes away from the foul that you could have drawn. And so you got to make sure when you go up vertical, create the contact, and then continue to draw that foul and knock down the shot.
He's called for his first. This is Benson. He'll kick it out. Inside, it's James. Falling away. And an offensive rebound from Vaughn. Wilson all over him. And there's Carter with the rebound for the Gamecocks, looking to push. Devin Carter runs into traffic. The foul's going to be called on the floor. Second foul on Mervyn James. And the fourth team foul on Ryder. And here we go, a couple of substitutions for South Carolina. Taquan Woodley and Keyshawn Bryant, who gets a nice hand from the fans here inside Colonial Life Arena.
Well, he is an energy guy. We already know before, you know, he's got a great motor, runs up and down the floor really well, explosive when it comes to him getting off the floor, a human highlight reel. So you got to be able to keep eyes on him at all time because he works extremely hard on both sides of the floor.
And a steal for McKeithen. Takes it against Bryant. Can't finish. Josh Gray posting up, asking for the ball. Carter hits the three.
We talked about it. He's not just a driver, he is a playmaker, can score the ball in bunches, especially once he sees it go in one time.
Devin Carter, just 1 for 7 on the season from three. That's his second make. An open look for Benson. The rebound to Josh Gray. Carter is down
Looks like
underneath the basket.
Took a good blow.
So the whistle is blown. We're going to check on Devin.
Probably doesn't want something low with him being almost 7 foot or 7 foot. Probably wants it high where he can just keep it up high and get the shot up.
Jacoby Wright. Now here's Bryant. Steps back and hits. First basket of the season for Keyshawn Bryant.
And that's what he talked about. He was one of the leading scorers for Gamecocks last year. Does a tremendous job on both ends of the floor, showing his mid-range ability right there.
Rider 0 for their last 7. McKeithen. Now Powell. Murray for 3. That's short. But an offensive rebound for Ogimuno Johnson. And we're going to have a whistle here as Murray drew the foul.
Frank Martin's probably not happy with that defensive possession. Everything was done right for South Carolina on the defensive end, aside from rebounding.
Woodley met Murray, but met him with the body.
Met him with the body, got all of that wrist.
First foul on Woodley. Levesque back in for the Gamecocks. Levesque averaging 10.6 points, 7.6 rebounds per game.
Gray provided some fantastic minutes on the defensive end for the Gamecocks. And I think Coach Martin's going to continue to want to implement him in there because he's going to be needed when it gets down to SEC play.
Here's Wright. Bryant. The lob to Levesque.
Did you feel that?
I felt it.
I felt like the floor was shaking. Williams Levesque is a powerful, powerful player.
And that's one thing that Bryant can do. He can slash, get inside, and draw the attention. Really the most athletic player for the Gamecocks. That time he's able to feed Levesque.
And that's what that experience brings to the table. Brian is a...
Benson stays with it.
And yeah, you see South Carolina, they get the deflection, the shot block from Bryant there, and still, you know, Ryder works really hard to get themselves that second chance opportunity.
Too strong for Bryant. Ogimuno Johnson chases down the rebound. 16-11 is our score. Ryder with a 5-point lead.
Ogimuno Johnson has been impressive in creating more opportunities for his teammates. He may not get the rebound, but he's creating tips, which create more opportunities once the ball goes up.
He's the starting center now with Tyra Bladen out for the year.
As far as bringing that leadership aspect to the board, making sure that everybody was doing their job and just continuing to be vocal, that vocal leader that's needed and necessary for this program.
South Carolina finally has their complete team on the floor today. Bryant for 3. Off the mark, fight for the rebound. Went to James. So here's McKeithen bringing the ball up for Ryder, sophomore guard from Windsor, Connecticut. Ryder has doubled up South Carolina in rebounds. Murray. There's Kuznard with the board. Stevenson from the corner. Too strong.
And those are those situations where the ball touched 2 Gamecocks' hands before it got to Ryder, and that's where you got to come down and solidify that ball even after you miss the shot.
Gamecocks are 1 for 8 from 3. Levesque, the rebound. Here comes Kuznard the other way. Stevenson on the drive. Bryant will feed Levesque once again, and he'll draw the foul.
So you're seeing right now, you're seeing South Carolina find that adversity that they ran into at the beginning of the season when the shots weren't falling like they have in the past 2 games here. Where it was successful for them in those games was them getting the ball into the paint and creating inside out.
Wilden's Levesque to the line, a 57% free throw shooter this season. Too strong on the first. A.J. Wilson back in for South Carolina. James Reese as well. This is a deep team now, John, especially with the return of Bryant. Wilson returned last game. Frank Martin has the ability to go deep into his bench.
Oh, yeah, you got a ton of talent on this team. Guards and forwards. I mean, from the guard position, you got James Reese, who can knock down a shot. Kuznard, who's just a Swiss Army knife when it comes on the offensive end. You've got Eric Stevenson. Once he gets hot, he's hard to stop. You got Bryant, who's that showstopper, that exclamation point. I mean, you just got a ton of offense going now and defense.
3-point make for Mervyn James, junior forward from St. Thomas. That's his first 3 of the season.
And Mervyn James creates a matchup problem because he is a post player, but he's also capable of spreading the floor with the 3.
Kuznard the other way for the Gamecocks. The lead is 6 for Ryder. Ryder has just 10 active players today. And the rejection from Levesque. Kuznard pulls up, too strong, gets his own rebound off the glass. Can't hit. 3rd opportunity, and it's in for the Gamecocks.
Offense led to find ways to be effective out there on the basketball court.
And they have a 4-point lead here. Vaughn, the floater, rolls around the rim and it's tipped in, but no, it's going to be waved off.
And even though it was waved off, Ogumeno Johnson can get off the ground really quickly. He's a big physical forward, really looking to impose himself in that post.
6'8", 210 out of Delta State, Nigeria. And a whistle here. 2nd foul on Demencio Vaughn.
That's not good for Ryder because Demencio Vaughn has brought so much energy on both ends of the floor and really just making it a game for him.
And again, only 10 active players today for Ryder. We expect them to go to an 8-man rotation. They certainly can't afford any foul trouble in this matchup against South Carolina.
You see, Demencio Vaughn is not leaving, and that's what I'm talking about with that Cancun trip. You know, you got to trust your players at this point, and he was probably in foul trouble there sometimes as well, but still.
Excellent defense from Ryder as the shot clock will run out on the Gamecocks.
That was great defense from Ryder, sitting down 30 seconds and making it difficult for South Carolina to get into any type of offense.
Frank Martin in his 10th season at the helm. Not pleased with that possession. Ryder started out hot, 5 for their first 6, but just 2 for 14 since. They have a couple of streaky scorers in Murray and Vaughn. Here's Powell. 3 is no good from Jalen McClone, and so Reese will push the other way. Open in the corner is Kuznard. He'll fire and hit.
Kuznard has been playing with a ton of confidence and shooting the ball and just scoring where he's needed on the offensive end. You got Reese, you got Stevenson, but then that nice little plus is Kuznard, who can also do exactly what those guys can do.
7 points for Kuznard. Here's Powell.
Powell can score the ball in a myriad of different ways. He's a great shooter.
They're trying to get it up to Reese. Instead, it's a turnover. Powell's a junior guard from Philadelphia, averaging 7.6 per game for the Bronx. Had 16 against Coppin State, 10 in the last game against Bucknell. Shot 44 from 3 last year. just 27% so far this season. A whistle. An offensive foul will be called on Ryder. Number 13, Jalen McGlone, his first.
Williams-Levette did a great job of getting there early, playing early often defense, getting himself set, taking that charge.
Couisnard has scored the last 7 for the Gamecocks as McGlone takes a seat. Taquan Woodley back in for South Carolina.
Woodley's provided an offensive spark for the Gamecocks in the post, making sure that he establishes position as well as holding his seals. So when he gets it, it's a one-on-one.
Carter against McKeithen. And McKeithen's going to be whistled for his first foul. Sophomore guard from Windsor, Connecticut. He got his first start of the season Wednesday against Bucknell. 12 points, 5 rebounds in 34 minutes.
And there's so many players on this Rider team that are capable of scoring points in bunches. And that's what we talked about, Murray being the player to watch, but sometimes it might not be him because there's going to be so much locked in on him. He has to be able to facilitate, pass the ball, and create for others.
Carter misses the front end of the one-on-one. Murray against Carter. Carter, a great defender. Ogemuno Johnson.
So we talked about that power Ogemuno Johnson possesses. Strong guy.
His first points of the game. Couisnard. And a turnover there.
One thing Coach Frank Martin wants to make sure that Couisnard does is tally back on those turnovers. Playing that point guard position, it can be hard because you have to play with pace, know when to go, when not to go. 6
turnovers for the Gamecocks. Couisnard has been good this season. The one thing that's been a problem is turnovers, as the floater is hit by Murray. Couisnard coming into this one, 13 to 25 assist to turnover ratio.
Ryder's done a really good job just playing at their speed, playing their game. They haven't been rattled by South Carolina's defense, and really that has been the difference maker. South Carolina usually escalates a ton of turnovers defensively by their on-ball pressure, and Ryder's guards are so good, they're just not very affected by South Carolina's guard play.
Ogemuno Johnson. One-on-one against Levesque. Runs out of room.
Carter's all over the floor today.
Fancy dribbling from Maurice. And that's poked away by Benson. Here come the Bronx the other way. Benson gets the return feed, lays it up and in.
Here's the thing. You know, South Carolina's kind of playing a little laxed, as if that turkey's still on them a little bit. These are those types of situations that Frank Martin wants to put his guys through, where they deal with some adversity against some really good, really talented mid-major programs.
7 turnovers now for the Gamecocks, looking to get it into Levesque. A nice feed to Woodley. Can't hit from close.
Teammate's house, James Reese, I feel like his family, just based off of it, I feel like his family can throw down. I bet a few people were out there. They're eating some good food, some good Southern cooking. Now slow you down.
Reese now back home in the state of South Carolina, transferring from North Texas. Here he is handling the ball, looking for Woodley. Has it stripped by Murray. Dwight Murray the other way is blocked from behind. That was the athletic Keyshawn Bryant getting over to block Dwight Murray.
You and I talked about Woodley a little bit as far as like once he figures out the speed of this game, he's going to be really good. You know, the ball can't stick once you catch it in the post. You need to figure out what you're going to do and do it quickly because you got double coverage coming your way.
He's provided a shot blocking presence for South Carolina this season.
He has.
0 from 1 block a game, 1.2 to be exact. But you're talking on the offensive end.
Yes.
McKeithen for 3. That's short. Offensive rebound for Vaughn. With the left hand, bouncing around the rim, the rebound to Gray. Here's Jacoby Wright the other way. Lost control. And it will be Rider ball. Some groans here inside Colonial Life Arena.
You know what? I know that that's something that Frank Martin has asked of Jacoby Wright, which is to be more explosive, especially in those open floor situations. I thought that he was working really hard to draw that foul. He just didn't get it.
Under 2 minutes remaining here in the first half. Rider lead is 8. Vaughn pulls up. Too strong, and Gray another rebound. Bryant steps back and hits. Well, he put McKeithen on the deck.
Well, that's why he had to shoot it. Basketball God said if you put somebody on the earth, you got to make sure you put the ball in the basket after that. You'll see that on this highlight reel at the end of the year.
Well, he did his job, completed the play.
He did. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be on that highlight reel. Wherever he decides to go, whether it's professional, he's going to have himself a good career.
Ogemuno Johnson lost the handle, so a turnover for Rider, their 6th.
Somebody also needs to put Keyshawn Bryant's name in the hat for NCAA College Slam Dunk Contest.
He's a highlight reel dunker.
Oh,
should he get the opportunity?
Give it to him.
I'm sure he'd love one in his first game back this season for South Carolina. A minute to go. Reese for 3. Back iron, offensive rebound for Wilson. Wilson pulls up, and he hits.
You got to see South Carolina run great offense there. James Reese got the shot he wanted, just didn't make it. But they get a second chance opportunity because of great flow of offense. And A.J. Wilson knocks down the jumper.
First points for Wilson. Gamecocks within 4. Ten seconds for Powell. Has a shot blocked by Gray. It's Bryant the other way. Bryant lays it up and in. We didn't get the highlight reel dunk, but we got a fancy move for the layup.
Listen, everybody can tell. You got to give this guy a dunk contest shot.
Ooh, and Murray bailed out there. First foul on Reese, just 2.7 seconds left here in the first half.
I'm going to be totally honest, that was great defense from James Reese.
Only the 5th foul, so no bailout. And South Carolina will call. Instead, they get it inside to Ogemuno Johnson, who is fouled by Wilson. A.J. Wilson picks up his second, 0.6 remaining.
And that's why Coach Frank Martin called that timeout, so that there wasn't any defensive breakdowns. And they were so worried about Murray, and that's what's so special about Murray. He'll draw too. He'll make the post players who are guarding that screen have to come out as well.
Ogemuno Johnson hits the first. He's now 4 for 8 from the line this season. Let's take another look. They got it into the big man. It's wide open underneath.
And you see A.J. Wilson kind of playing that safety guard net there, left Ogemuno open. Keyshawn did a great job. I mean, just picking his spots, being a force on defense.
Here's a look inside to James. Dimencio Vaughn pulls up. That one's good.
Great pull-up from Dimencio Vaughn. That's what we talk about. It's hard to put a label on his position.
7 points for Vaughn. Powell on the steal. Drives on Levesque and draws the foul. First foul on Wildens Levesque.
Yeah, right now you're seeing Rider do what they like to do, and that is get out in the open floor and run. I thought Wildens Levesque did a really good job, though, of recovering, getting ball, but especially when you got a little guy in there. They usually kind of contort their bodies, and it looks like it's worse than what it is.
Alan Powell, the junior guard from Philadelphia, 75% free throw shooter coming into today. It's the first.
Powell is a smooth operator. I love his game, and we talked about it before. Rider's personnel is so deadly because there isn't really a label that you can put on the positions that they have. They are just bucket getters. They can score in a myriad of different ways.
Powell likes to get buckets from three. More than half his attempts are from three. Stevenson is met. Fight for the ball, and it's Wilson who will be fouled. Foul's going to be on Mervyn James, his third. So some early foul trouble here in the second half for Mervyn James. Mervyn made the Cancun Challenge all-tournament team at a season-high 23 points against Bucknell on Wednesday.
Mervyn has that ability to play inside and out, which makes him a matchup problem for most teams that they play against.
He's a transfer from North Alabama, had 10 points in his Rider debut at Duquesne. They got him because he played with Murray in high school. He's his childhood best friend. So Dwight Murray, playing coach, able to recruit Mervyn James as a transfer.
And you see right here, the free throw woes are still adding on for South Carolina.
Reese with good defense on Murray. There's a turnover. Couisnard the other way. He'll take it himself, lays it up and in.
And that's what we talked about. James Reese is such an impactful player on the defensive end. He always guards the best player from the guard position on the opposing team, and it led out to an easy, fast break for Jermaine Couisnard.
Team high 9 for Couisnard. Whistle. Looks like a foul's going to be called on Levesque. And that's his second. So 2 fouls early in the second half for Wildens Levesque.
And I think Coach Frank Martin wants Levesque to be more aggressive on the defensive end. He allowed too much to slide in that first half.
And now a blocking foul called on South Carolina. It's going to be on A.J. Wilson, his third.
You got to start to read the room when it comes to how these referees are going to come out in the second half and make calls. We've gotten a bunch of quick fouls already in this second half. And so you got to understand that if that's how they're going to play, you got to adjust your play to those referees.
Brandon Martin replaces Wilson. Baseline jumper, no good, but the tip is there from Mervyn James.
As we talked about, Rider has done a really good job on the boards creating more opportunities for themselves.
Stevenson has not scored yet in this game. They'd like to get him involved here in the second half, coming off a 25-point performance against Wofford.
And Stevenson didn't play as much in that first half, and a lot of that was because of the cold play that he started out with. And obviously, we talked about it before, the implementation of Keyshawn Bryant getting into there, more minutes. And so you just, it's going to happen.
Deep three from Couisnard. He has 12. Murray trying to feed Vaughn, but it's a turnover. 8th turnover for Rider. South Carolina has 10.
And Brandon Martin still did a good job of staying down and staying in position and not letting the back cut affect them. And right now you're seeing Rider try that back cut out because Princeton was so successful with it that they were going to try to implement some stuff that they did that worked in order to beat South Carolina.
Rider leads by 4. Gamecocks in their half-court offense. Stevenson against Powell. Tough shot for Stevenson. That's no good. Fight for the rebound, and skying high, it's Murray.
You saw another defensive hiccup there that Rider threw at South Carolina. They've already come out with a press, and now you're seeing them actually run a matchup zone.
19 seconds left in the shot clock for the Bronx. Murray trying to find some room. We will go the other way. An offensive foul called on Ryder. It's going to be called on Dwight Murray, his first.
Yeah, there was a lot of off-ball movement in getting Murray that opening there.
Murray has 6 points. He scored double-digit points in every game this season. Had a career-high 30 at Bucknell on November 17th, part of a 30-point, 13-rebound double-double. Gamecocks have held him in check so far, just 6. A look for Wright. He's short. Strong rebound from Demencio Vaughn. James runs into traffic. And an offensive foul call. That's the 4th on Mervyn James, and he's gonna have to take a seat.
And that can be the hiccup when it comes to playing fast for Ryder there. They wanted to get out in the open floor before the defense got set, but what you're seeing now is South Carolina loading and making sure that it's just not a straight line drive once they get the ball up the floor as fast as they can.
So 4 fouls on James. Reese drives on Vaughn. Pull it back out. Good look to Woodley. 10 seconds. Stevenson a deep 3. Off the mark. And the rebound to Ogimuno Johnson.
It's a great defensive set for Ryder there, really just making it difficult.
Stevenson now 0 for 7. Skip pass over to Murray.
Just opportunities to score the ball. You have to take advantage of it because Ryder's been red hot starting out this game.
The freshman guard combo is in for the Gamecocks, Wright and Carter. Reese directing traffic. Carter an open look for 3. It's wide right. Reese tracks down the offensive board. Not much room for James Reese. Trying to get it to Woodley inside.
You heard Coach Frank Martin say post up, get the ball in the paint, making it really difficult. There hasn't been any paint touches for South Carolina, which is why they haven't been able to contribute from those turnovers that they've created.
Ryder looking to build on a 4-point lead. Instead, it's turnover. Ball in the hands of Taquan Woodley. Carter spin move. No foul called.
That's gotta be something.
And so it'll be the Bronx the other way and Dwight Murray. Ryder will slow it down. Murray, the team's leading scorer at 16 points per game coming in. Preseason All-MAC first team selection. And the basket from Ogimuno Johnson.
Here's the thing. South Carolina's had a ton of opportunities to score the ball, just haven't capitalized on them.
Carter's not close. Offensive rebound for Reese.
And so you see that ball moving around the perimeter, and I'll give it to Ogimuno Johnson, doing a really good job of keeping the ball out of the post.
Carter will draw the foul. Gamecocks were 0 for the last 7. Foul is going to be called on Nehemiah Benson. That's his 2nd. So Carter will go to the line where the Gamecocks have struggled today. They're 1 for 7 from the charity stripe. Devin rattles in the first.
Yeah, there have been a lot of blown opportunities on things that are, I like to call free throws controllables, right? Like that's something that you don't have any type of pressure, it's not being contested, it's a free shot. You have to take advantage of that, and right now, you said it, like, you know, they're struggling from that charity strike.
They came into today a 69% free throw shooting team. 3 for 9 today. McKeithen. Ogemuno Johnson with the left hand. That was partially blocked, I believe, by Woodley. And we're going to go the other way here.
And that's what Frank Martin wants to happen. He wants to make sure that there is a post presence, that you always see somebody down there, somebody contesting that shot, because there's nothing more intimidating than getting your shot beat a couple of times. You're not going to want to go in that jungle and fight anymore.
Woodley's tied for the team lead in blocks. Keyshawn Bryant takes it himself and draws the foul.
And that's the unique ability that Keyshawn Bryant has, to be able to manufacture a basket by getting into that paint. Him, Devin Carter, they're players that are good at that. Bryant's got a little bit more experience in the SEC with it, but Devin Carter's coming.
Third foul on Ogemuno Johnson, and James has 4, so they're bigs in a little bit of foul trouble. Back iron for Bryant on the first. We'll take another look. This is what Bryant can do. He can slash, get inside, and draw contact.
Absolutely. He does a really good job, too, of moving without the ball. You see him moving and getting downhill with the ball. He's also that guy that ends up with the ball in his hand off of a great back cut, the easy dunk or alley-oop.
7 points for Bryant. It's a 3-point game.
Moving screen.
So another turnover for Ryder. Third foul now on Benson. 16 fouls, just under 13 minutes to go here in the second half. Keyshawn Bryant, senior forward from Winter Haven, Florida.
It's matchup zone, 2-3 matchup zone that
banks the three. Keyshawn Bryant hits his first three-pointer of the season.
Here's my question, did he call bang? You think he called it?
I didn't hear it from here, but we've got the headset on. We can't hear players talking. McKeithen, way off.
I mean, he's gonna, I don't know what his plans are after he graduates, but he'll give himself an opportunity to extend his game beyond just the collegiate level.
And looking for him to take another step here in his senior season.
In those situations, you know, you're trying to get the ball into the paint. It's up to the passer to put it in the right place, but it's also up to the post player to hold that seal.
Looks like we're gonna have a foul called inside on Josh out of the Northeast. Preseason number 5 in the coaches poll, preseason number 3 in the media poll. It's a good basketball conference, features teams like Iona, Monmouth, Siena.
Yeah, there's a lot of great talent on this Ryder team.
Good defense from the Gamecocks on that possession. Talking about that conference, John, you have an Iona team that's already beaten Alabama this year. You have a Monmouth team that just beat Cincinnati. And so it's a tough basketball conference. Ryder really among the top half.
Yeah, I mean, and I think once they connect on both ends of the floor more, and they're doing a really good job of it now, and it's come with them having this tough non-conference schedule where they've been on the road majority of their season. It's worked out in their favor. It's going to work out when they get to that conference play.
3 is short from right, so it's Murray the other way. Benson pulls up. Can't get a friendly roll. Wright kicks it out. Bryant flying in. And he'll draw the foul. And we almost had one of those highlight reel dunks.
Put that man in the college slam dunk contest. I know we haven't seen anything yet, but as a dunk connoisseur, I know, I can tell when guys can get off the ground.
Ogemuno Johnson picks up his 4th, so 4 fouls now on Ogemuno Johnson, 4 fouls on Mervyn James. James will check in for Ogimuno Johnson. We'll see if the Gamecocks go at him on the next possession, try to get him out of the game.
Absolutely. When you see all of these post players that Ryder has in foul trouble, you got to capitalize on that opportunity to get them out the game, because both of them have been impactful on both ends of the floor.
First lead for South Carolina since the opening basket. Again, this is a short Ryder team today, just 10 active players. Foul's going to be called on Woodley, his second.
And those are fouls that you can live with, because Frank Martin wants aggression. He wants you to know, like, I'll take that foul just to let you know I'm going to put some hands on you.
Bryant going for a steal. He's going to be called for the foul instead. That's his first. It's the 6th team foul on South Carolina. 7 team fouls already on Ryder. We're not even halfway through this second half.
Yeah, and you saw it, like in this second half, you've seen the referees really start to ramp up a little bit on their play calling.
James turns around, he's short. Strong rebound from Bryant. Couisnard back in, good sign for the Gamecocks. A block, but a foul.
Couisnard did a really good job of making the right read off of that ghost screen, where he was able to get downhill. The primary defender thought a screen was coming, froze him. He's able to get downhill.
Third foul on Demencio Vaughn. Jermaine Couisnard to the line. Coming into today, a 66% free throw shooter. And this is the first. Couisnard, 14 points Tuesday against Wofford. 17 against Princeton, 16 against Western Kentucky. Gets the second. A 3-point lead for the Gamecocks. There's a look for Powell. Strong, but
James, I think.
If that's James, that'll be his 5th. Oh, Coach Baggett is furious. It will be on James, so Mervyn James is done with 9:49 to go in the second half. He will exit with 5 points, 4 rebounds.
Provided a great spark for Ryder in that paint area. Because of his size and quickness, he's a matchup nightmare for South Carolina, who have, you know, traditional post players down there.
1-and-1 for Woodley, misses the front end. It'll be Ryder basketball. Gamecocks now 7 for 16, John, from the charity stripe. This lead could be a lot bigger.
We talked about it. I mean, these are controllables, things that you got to focus in on and hone in on. And right now, South Carolina, they aren't making those shots. They aren't making the outside shot. The post entries are difficult. And so these are those games where you're going to have to grit it out. It's great experience for them to get used to that, because they're going to get that in the SEC too.
Murray got inside, but was bothered by Gray. Putback opportunities from Ogimuno Johnson. Benson with a tip. Ball still loose. Ends up in the hands of Powell.
Frank Martin, you see him over here, his body language. How do you not come up with that? I tried to do his voice, it didn't work.
And Martin just shaking his head. Alan Powell. 5 seconds for Murray. Instead, it's Ogimuno Johnson, who hits right before the shot clock expires.
Ogimuno Johnson was the main reason that ball was kept alive. He just kept battling in that paint, really making it difficult for South Carolina to just have the ball, solidify that ball.
7 points for Ogimuno Johnson. Jacoby Wright inside the arc.
Jacoby Wright is showing that confidence that Frank Martin is instilling in him. letting them know, like, hey, I know you're a great passer. I know you can do those things, but you also have to be able to show the ability to shoot the ball and score the ball so that defenses don't sag off of you and give you the Rajon Rondo treatment.
11-2 run for the Gamecocks. McGlone. Offensive rebound for Benson. And a whistle and a foul. It's going to be called on South Carolina.
Ryder has been staying in this game and majority of the time winning this game due to their ability to create more opportunities to score the ball. Most teams against South Carolina are one and done. And because of their ability to get downhill with their primary ball handler, help side has to come over and help. So there's nobody in front of that weak side offensive player. They're getting that rebound.
Ryder is winning the rebound battle against South Carolina, 33-28. 13 of those are offensive rebounds.
And they're making their free throws.
7 of 9 for the line of the Bronx. Benson misses the second. The lead is 2 for South Carolina, 41-39. Keyshawn Bryant. Stevenson still looking for his first points. He's on the floor, inside to Levesque.
Really good job of staying active on the boards even when it hasn't worked out his way.
4 points for Levesque. Ogimuno Johnson trying to back down Levesque. McGlone for 3. Got it!
That was a great shot from McGlone. Had his feet set. Great pass from inside out. Great find.
McGlone's a guy who averages just 1.3 points per game coming into today, but he's now 3 for 4 from three-point land on the season.
Yeah, but he's still a basketball player. He's a college basketball player. That is a rhythm shot for him.
Good move from Wright. Can't finish, but he draws the foul.
I love Jacoby Wright's aggression. Sat there, froze his defender, made him think he was going to retreat dribble because on scouting reports, he would retreat dribble. And so he's just imposing himself more from the aggressive standpoint because everybody thinks that he's just a pass-first guard. And he is, and that's great, but he also can do so much more. And I got to watch when he was in high school. The guy did so much for his team at Legacy. And he was able to shoot the ball. He was able to get into the paint. He had post players. He'd just lob it up for it, and they'd dunk it. I mean, this guy is going to be a special player.
Average 16.4 per game as a senior captain at Legacy. 4-star prospect. Gets the second. Gamecocks now 8 for 18 from the line today. They do lead by 2. Vaughn will drive. He was bothered by Levesque. Wright looks to push. Terrific feed to Bryant with the slam.
We knew it was coming, right? We knew it was coming. This guy gets off the ground so quickly. It's scary.
And there's the first dunk of the season for Keyshawn Bryant. Terrific feed from Wright. Well, Stevenson thought it was clean. Instead, the foul is called. The foul's going to be called on Levesque. That's his third.
Stevenson did a, oh, so it wasn't a foul on Stevenson?
It was a foul on Levesque.
Okay.
Stevenson reacted in protest.
Yeah, because he did a really good job of releasing from his offensive player because he would have fouled if the contact stayed. He released and blocked him from behind.
Powell misses the first, and now the crowd about to get on its feet here inside Colonial Life Arena. Free Chick-fil-A on the line should he miss the second.
It's Sunday, though.
Well, they can use the voucher tomorrow.
Okay.
And he misses. The crowd erupts inside Colonial Life Arena.
Sandwiches for everybody.
The lead is 4 for the Gamecocks. Stevenson for 3. That's good. First points for Eric Stevenson. The lead is 9. A turnover. Here comes Bryant. against McClone. Finishes off the glass. And one.
And that's that entertainment that Keyshawn Bryant brings to this arena. He is that guy that when he can get a steal, get out in the open floor, even if it's not a dunk, people get excited because he is that energy guy, that motor that makes this South Carolina Gamecock program run.
It's a low feed to McClone. He fumbled it. And Bryant the other way, looking to finish off the three-point play. And he does. So it's a double-digit lead for South Carolina. They lead by 12. And Bryant will take a seat. An 11-0 run for the Gamecocks. Ryder really needs to find something here. They'll look inside.
South Carolina's done a really good job of making it difficult for Murray to get into his sweet spots offensively.
Well, McKeithen finds a sweet spot. He hits the three.
And there's been a lot of focus on Murray, which opened it up. As soon as Murray drove, Keithen's man sucked in. He was able to get an easy shot there.
Right from the corner. Too strong. And it'll be Ryder basketball.
That was a great shot. I mean, that's within the rotation of offense. The ball went down the rainbow. Defense gambled. Jacoby Wright's open.
Corey McKeithen. Dwight Murray pulls up
That's a
and
layup
hits.
for him. That is a layup.
Senior guard from Georgia. Team leader in points, rebounds, assists. Rarely comes out, John. 36.7 minutes a game coming into today.
And he can't. I mean, and you see how these teams play against him. That's the first speck of daylight I've seen him get all game.
Spent his first 2 seasons at Incarnate Word. Rebound. So the lead is 8 for the Gamecocks. Benson pulls up, can't get the roll. Jacoby Wright will milk some clock.
That was a great closeout from Wildens Levette to stay down and still be able to stay in front of Benson, who's not necessarily a post player, but a guy that can just score the ball.
Carter on the drive. And offensive foul called. That's Devin Carter's second foul.
And that's going to come with experience from Devin Carter, just understanding, you know, that those guys have the scout report on him. They know that he is an aggressive driver, one of those guys that are tough to stay in front of. And it's not going to be the primary person that's going to get him in trouble. It's going to be that secondary defender.
Murray tried to feed Vaughn. And the foul is going to be called on the Gamecocks. It's the 4th on A.J. Wilson. And it's the 10th team foul, so double bonus the rest of the way for both teams.
And obviously that works better in South Carolina's favor because they can run their offense and then really try to attack and get downhill. And that's what you saw Devin Carter try to do, is attack, get downhill, and draw that foul.
In and out for Vaughn on the first. Keyshawn Bryant back in. Gamecocks going small here with Levesque playing the 5 and Bryant playing the 4. Of course, the size is out now for Ryder, so that makes sense.
Absolutely, and you obviously can see that Ryder's trying to use that to their advantage matchup-wise, but you have to have somebody offset Vaughn, and Bryant's a good kid that can do that for him.
Carter has some room, fires for 3. Levesque, the offensive rebound. Levesque can't hit, but the ball will stay with the Gamecocks. And the lead is 8, 55-47. Bryant pulls up on Powell. Up ahead, it's Vaughn! Off the back iron, but a foul called.
And Vaughn, and that's what Ryder wants to do, and they've gotten away from that in the second half, which was getting out in the open floor, really trying to run South Carolina and make them work.
And we talked about highlight reel ability of Bryant, but how about Vaughn going up, almost slamming one in himself.
That's the thing. Vaughn's got a unique game. It's the reason why Ole Miss wanted him, because of the things that he can bring to the table. But, you know, it's all about fit, too. And his fit is here at Ryder based on his skills and unique talents.
Coach Baggett told us he was humbled by his experience at Ole Miss, but now he's back. He's a mentor for the younger guys. I asked Coach if there was any trepidation bringing him back and that he left in the first place, and he said he really didn't want him to come back and play for another team in the league.
Yeah, and plus, you know, you want to teach them that lesson, but at the same time, it's just like they're your kids, you know. You still love them even though they made a decision that you may not agree with.
The lob to Levesque, who finishes off the glass and draws the foul.
And that's that experience. You see the two-way game between Brian and Levesque. Levesque has found his post players. Brian has found his post players several times in this game as far as getting the ball down there effectively.
It was an athletic play from the big man Levesque. He finishes the three-point play. So the lead is 9. Just over 2 minutes to go. Murray loses control. And a whistle, so he's bailed out. Frank Martin can't believe it.
And the reason why Frank Martin can't believe it is because that's a play that he teaches. He teaches his guys not to just stay in the gap, but to stunt the gap and recover so that they can get to their man and close out properly. That was just one of those plays where Eric Stevenson was there, stun it, create a little chin music, and make that offensive player nervous about getting downhill and then getting back to his man. He got a hand on the ball, maybe a little bit of hand, and so the referee called it, but that's what Coach Frank Martin teaches.
Murray hits both. 2 minutes to go from Columbia. Gamecocks lead 58-51. They'll cycle the ball around. Stevenson from the wing, rattles it in.
And you see right there the maturity of Devin Carter. Normally he'd go all the way in there and potentially get a charge call on him, but this time he made the baseline drift pass, one more pass. Eric Stevenson knocked down the big-time three.
Second three for Stevenson, so now it's a 10-point game. Rebound is loose and in the hands of Devin Carter. 3-on-1 if he wants it. He'll take it himself. One. Didn't make it all the way. Gamecocks will regroup and use some clock.
Talk about that too. Devin Carter's a human highlight reel himself too.
Up ahead, it's Powell. Passed on the three, instead it's Murray, and he hits.
Everybody knows that he is the primary scorer for Ryder, and what he's gonna have to figure out is playing the game with pace. Sometimes you're gonna have to go slow in order to get yourself those offensive opportunities, because at first they're gonna hone in on you.
He's just hoping to get another opportunity, trying to keep the lead 7. Inside to Levesque, an easy one off the glass.
And that's what we talked about. Eat a little clock, be patient within your offensive set, get the ball in the paint, Williams, Levesque, make him pay.
Stevenson all over Powell, who pulls up and hits. Tough shot for Powell.
Ryder takes and makes tough twos all the time.
foul Stevenson. First foul on Alan Powell. So free throws coming for Eric Stevenson. Stevenson is 2 for 2 from the line today. Gamecocks as a team, 13 for 24. But Stevenson hits another.
Talk about a guy that, you know, started out a little slow, but played his way into this game by hitting some shots when they really mattered for his team.
Well, I didn't want to jinx him, so I held off on this till he hit both, John, but Stevenson is perfect on the season from the free throw line. Levesque was there to meet Murray.
Levesque just does a really good job of clogging that lane up. That time he was a little late on that transition, but still not a pretty win for South Carolina, but a gritty win for South Carolina, which is exactly what